Most investors think it's impossible to find good deals on Zillow, but they just don't know what to look for. We find great deals, or rather we create great deals that we find on Zillow all the time. Last week, we just helped a client close on an $80,000 property for a $15,000 discount at $65,000. It's now going to be a strong cash flowing Section 8 rental. It's also going to be a bird deal, so the client's going to get most, if not all of their capital out of the deal, and I'll break down the numbers on how this looks. So I'm going to show you in this video what we saw in this deal and what we see in all the deals that we find on Zillow, what most people miss, and the 3 ways to turn bad or mediocre deals into great deals. So what I have on the screen here is a client's deal. This closed last week on the 5th. And it was originally, we saw it originally on Zillow a few months ago, but it was listed too high. It was around $105,000 if I remember right. And then the agent, after not selling for a couple of months, dropped it down to $80,000. I've done business with this agent before, so I started texting and talking to him, seeing if we could work something out. And we went back and forth with the seller and with my client and with the agent. And we eventually agreed to $65,000 cash offer and a fast close. And suddenly this deal that would not have worked, if it sold at $105,000, this would have been a terrible deal. You would have lost a lot of money. But because we got it at this huge discount, and because of some other factors I'm going to share in this video, this is going to be a great deal for our client. And I'm going to break down the numbers as well. So in order for you to get a great deal, you have to create it. You can't expect to just find a deal and get lucky and it just falls into your lap. Nobody else wants it. It's just the perfect deal that's gift wrapped for you. So there are 3 areas that we focus on in order to turn a bad or mediocre deal into a great one. Number 1 is going to be the price. Number 2 is going to be the construction. And number 3 is going to be the cash flow. And I'm going to walk through these 3 and how we can take a deal on Zillow that looks terrible if you just run the numbers at face value, and how we turn that into a great deal, kind of like this one here. So the first thing is obviously price, and this just means you're getting it at the best possible price in order for the deal to work. I'm sure you've heard the saying before, all the money is made on the buy. That is true, but it's not all just price alone. But price is a big factor, and you could make a deal be a great one just on price alone. But for this particular deal, we got a discount of $15K off the list price. And why did that happen? Well, we had relationships with seller or listing agent. I think it had like 70 days on market, if not more. And we gave them cash offer with fast close, which sellers like, right? They want to close fast, and they want to, especially if it fell out of contract before, which I think this one did, they're going to want to close. They have a reason to want to close faster. And so cash offer gives them certainty that we're actually going to go through with it, and there's not going to be issues with financing. And fast close, I think it was like a 14-day close from the time that we accepted the contract. So price, this is going to be a big one. This is what you can look for if you want to get a discount on price. It still has to be a win for the seller. They still have to make money. So the seller bought this property years ago for like $25,000, $30,000. So they're still making a good chunk of money. And so it's a win-win, right? They get their money, we get a good deal. And we have to look for things like this. Long days on market where the seller wants to get rid of it, and better terms that make you be the more likely person to be chosen as the buyer. So price, if we can get a good chunk off the price, we can turn a bad deal into a great one. $15,000 is a lot of money when we're working with houses that are under $100,000. So that's the first and most obvious thing. Number 2 is going to be the construction. So with construction, we have a construction team that focuses on Section 8 rentals. And this particular property is going to be an $11K rehab. Now, if we took this to a retail contractor, they are going to try and screw you over. They're going to try to overquote you for things that you don't need. They're going to add things to the scope that are not necessary. It's just like nice to have so that they can make extra money. They're going to take a lot longer, so it's going to cost you a lot more in terms of carrying costs and holding the loan if you have a loan. And it's just going to take you longer to get to the actual cash flow. So we get things done under budget and on time because we have this special little niche that we focus on and in this particular market. So this is going to be an $11,000 rehab for this house. There's some like electrical and plumbing things that need to get fixed, and The kitchen needs some slight updating, and there's some paint job and drywall that needs to be patched. But it's a fairly low cost rehab, and we'll be done with this in about a week and a half. So this will be about a 10-day rehab. And this is going to make or break you. Make or break a deal. Make or break a deal. Because kind of like with the price, if you have a rehab that's $11,000 in this case versus one that it could easily have been quoted at $20,000 to $25,000, that's a lot of extra money. That's going to tip the scales into the bad deal area. So you want to have a construction team that can get things done on budget or under budget and on time or faster. And so that's what our team specializes in, is these Section 8 rentals. We get them done under budget and on time because we know exactly what needs to get done, because this is what we specialize in. We do this with all of our deals. So we can work with clients and get them better pricing and get them done faster versus if they were to go to a real retail contractor and get charged, $20K, and it would take like 2 months for them to get done, which has happened to me before. I've gone into this situation and got scammed by contractors in the past. So that's the second area, is the construction, and I'll break down the actual numbers on this deal in a second. The third is going to be cash flow. So cash flow, when you have a Section 8 tenant, which is what we specialize in, we don't always do Section 8, but when the numbers make sense, we're going to do it. So you might have a property. So like this one, for example, if we rented it out to a normal market rate tenant, it's probably going to get somewhere between $1,100 to $1,250 a month. Market cash pay tenant. And if we rent it out to Section 8, we can get, it's a 4-bedroom, and yeah, I think this is the same as what we would get. So 4-bedroom, $1,661. This is the max amount. We're going to take 90% of this because we don't want the best case scenario. This is just the maximum amount you can get for rent from a Section 8 tenant. So we're going to put $1,500 for Section 8. This means that we can get $200 to $400 more a month for a Section 8 tenant. And this is going to be fully or mostly guaranteed rental income. So paid by the U.S. government by the Section 8 program. So would you want, just by placing a different tenant, if you screen correctly, it's not going to be an issue. I'll cover this in a future video. But would you want an extra $200 to $400 a month for doing no extra work, just having a different type of tenant in your house and having that rental income be guaranteed versus having someone who can just kind of split and not have to pay you? I would much rather have this, right? If it makes sense. Now, if this is closer together, if it's both $1,500, then it might not make as much sense. But if we're getting a spread like this, a difference in rent just by renting out to Section 8, then this is going to turn a deal that doesn't cash flow at all into one that can cash flow $300, $500, $1,000 a month. This can make a big difference in your cash flow and your profit. So these are the three areas, and I want to break down this deal and how this went from a mediocre or even bad deal into a great one. So this is the purchase price that we got it for, $65,000. This is the rehab estimate. It's going to be right around $11,000, and I have a video right before this around my underwriting process where I go through this sheet in depth, and so you can see it in that video. The closing costs, since this is a cash purchase, it's just like title fees, and so we're going to put we'll put $1,500 here, okay? And taxes, insurance, water, sewer. The rent is going to be $1,500, so we're going to change this, and so you can see. This is going to be $115, I believe, is the ARV. And so you can see here with all the expenses. So what this client's going to do, they bought it in cash. They paid $65,000 and the closing costs, and they're going to do $11,000 on the rehab. So they'll be all into this for about $78,000 or so. And then when they go to refinance in about 1 to 2 months, it's going to appraise in the ballpark of around $115,000. They're going to get 75% of this amount as a loan, and they can make themselves whole again with the $65,000, $11,000, and $1,500 plus the refi closing cost, the $6,000 or so. And they're going to get all of their money out plus an extra $1,375 or so. And they're going to have a property that cash flows right around $400 a month. So this is called infinite ROI. That's what this little infinite sign is here. And that just means you have no money left in the deal. So it's just $400 a month in cash flow every single month for as long as they have a tenant if it's at $1,500 a month. So this deal for this client, it's going to have none of their money left in the deal, and they're going to get $400 a month in profit after they get their rent checks and they pay all their expenses. So would you want a house that you have no money left in that you're getting $400 a month net cash flow for? If we go back to this here, we could see that this suddenly makes a big difference, right? So we've turned a deal that would not cash flow into one that would by renting out to Section 8. We've saved the client on construction. So instead of a $20,000 rehab, which it easily could have been based on the items that were found during the home inspection, they're getting an $11,000 rehab, and it's being done quickly in 10 days or so instead of 1 to 2 months. So the client can get their capital back faster and recycle that to future deals. And they're also getting a discount off the price of around $15,000 because of our relationship with the listing agent, the long days on market, and also with a cash offer and a fast close. And because we knew this market, it would be good for cash flow, we advised the client to get into this and make this cash offer because they could. And so we helped this client turn a deal that was not a deal, would have been a bad deal, into a great one by adjusting the price, the construction, and cash flow. A lot of this is just experience and knowledge and knowing you can do these things, but also having the team and the infrastructure in place to actually go and deliver on it confidently and quickly. If you are a remote investor like myself, you know how difficult this can be, right? You know how hard it is to find good contractors and good team members and build relationships with people from thousands of miles away in a market you've never been in before. And if you don't know, I'm telling you right now, it's very easy to get scammed. It's very easy to lose money and lose time and energy and get discouraged, because once you run into those mistakes and those issues, it's hard to justify continuing to go on. So we could do this all for you. We can find deals like this directly on Zillow, and rather than find them, we have to create them. So we'll find deals that look like they can be a great deal, and we'll help you turn it into a great deal by getting you the best price, having our construction team in place, and making sure that we get a tenant where the cash flow actually makes sense. And we show you all these numbers, the projected numbers, before you actually get into the deal. So I hope you found this video useful. Just remember, if you're looking for deals on Zillow, they are out there, but they need to be created. And you're going to be focusing on price, construction, and cash flow if you want to flip a bad deal into a great one. Don't expect to get lucky. Just follow this video, and if you need some help, reach out to us or click the link in the description. You could talk directly to me about how we could potentially help you to build a remote rental portfolio of high cash flowing properties and deals just like this. But that's going to be it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.